Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the February edition of the SPARSA Livestream. I am here with Ben Kelly, Kirk Pinto, and Jared over in the corner there, muted with his coffee cup. And here we are. So, given that it's
actually muted, that's what he looks like.
Oh, that is what he looks like. Given that it's just kind of been a weird month, we are just gonna kind of have a roundtable, talk about some news, chat. So, if anyone's watching and wants to hang out and join with us, feel free to jump in the Discord, which you can find by doing bang Discord in chat, and then drop on in, and we're happy to chat. So if the audio sounds like crap, let me know. Otherwise, Kirk, you want to spin the news wheel?
Yeah, we're gonna go to we have how many stories? We have 1, 2,
a dozen.
Oh god, we have a lot. All right, cool. So we're gonna spin the news wheel. And we'll see what we talk about.
See what we're talking about today.
We're gonna talk about year of the Linux Mars helicopter.
Year of the Linux Mars helicopter.
Just in time for Jared to get his camera turned on. We're gonna talk about Linux on Mars.
do you want this here, Jared, or you want me to chat about it? You're muted still, so
No,
give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I don't know. Like
he's good. I can hear him.
Oh,
I can hear him.
Oh, maybe I have him muted because I hate him. That's very possible. I think it was your keyboard last time we were doing something.
Yeah.
And I muted the shit out of you. Okay.
You have a War Dogs poster? I'm so jealous.
That's a great
God,
movie.
I love that.
That's a great movie.
It's so awesome.
All right, anyway. Jared, do you wanna tell us about the year of the Mars Linux helicopter?
So once again, we've gone ahead and used the most advanced operating system and have made it to Mars. We got Linux on Mars. Saw a good tweet earlier. Ben shared with me that sound doesn't work. Thought that was hilarious. As of just a month ago, we ran into the same issue with me on the stream.
You know,
I really hope it's Arch Linux.
This happens. This happens. Did you die? I'm here. You go.
I know nothing more than that.
Here's the article.
We read the tweet. No one actually read the
article. No. I got the article here. You got this little. So not only does America regulate drones around America, then we're going to pollute Mars with these millennial contraptions. This little Ingenuity drone up there. Which is kind of cool. So I mean, it's got to survive like absurdly low temperatures, and I don't know if anyone saw the sky crane. So like sky crane goes and drops down this thing, and then this little drone poops out the bottom of it. And I guess it's looking for life on Mars. I think they dropped it right in a crater where they thought water would be. So yeah, kind of cool actually. So I guess the flight nav software and everything else, the guidance software, was all Linux. Let's see if we can find.
So what were the last landers? Were they not Linux?
They were some proprietary thing that NASA
Windows
had. Probably Windows XP.
Oh, Windows XP embedded. Excuse me.
Yeah. So I think this is F Prime is this open source thing they released from so like NASA released this, and it's their flight software framework. So it's kind of slick. I haven't had a chance to take a peek at this yet, but like, I mean, you can run it on a Raspberry Pi. So I'm just excited for the world where we're open sourcing.
Did we send a Raspberry into Mars? Is that what happened?
Yeah, with wheels and a couple cameras and like call it a day.
Dude, that's pretty awesome.
And I'm just using mine to find the temperature throughout my house. So like whatever. All right, there you go. Spin the wheel, Mr. Kirk. What do we got?
Yes. I already pre-spun. We're on Sonic Wall O-Day, so I'm gonna click this and read a little bit about it first. But Ben, if you want to take us away with the
so
there.
For those who don't know, SonicWall is a VPN aggregator. There's a
we'll drop the proc notification in here real quick.
Yeah, in the COVID work from home world, obviously vulnerabilities in VPN gateways are sort of a big problem. It's especially bad when an O-Day in your VPN project gets used to own your company, which is my understanding with SonicWall. God, it's been a bit since I actually looked at the article, so if you have it up,
they've posted 10 updates to this product page in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I guess that's fair. It's not going well.
How long, like how far away, like how far long ago was Google's BeyondCorp paper? That feels like it was a
2
lifetime
years
ago.
ago.
There's no way it was 2. Really?
I think it's a while ago.
Yeah,
BeyondCorp's
it
been
hasn't-
around for a bit.
It hasn't been that long. So like here's the Bleepin' Computer article about it. So they disclosed that their internal systems were attacked with 0 day in the SMA 100 series. But it sounds like the firmware actually affects I guess it is their all of their series basically. Their 200, their 210, their 400, their 410 and the 500 series. So amusing that they got popped by their own software, but I guess good that they're actually using their own product internally. So that's
true.
That's a good thing.
True.
They they did this thing so that you can enable the WAF, the built-in WAF to neutralize it, but since you have to pay for it, they gave everyone a 60-day license.
Oh no!
A 60-day license.
So 60-day license. So,
Nice upsell.
So
I know that this
nice
isn't.
upsell. That's amazing.
I know that this isn't, the year of free credit monitoring that you get when you're dating. Oh, so this wasn't a news article, but this actually I think came out this morning. That the California Department of Motor Vehicles, one of their contractors lost like 50 million records or something.
Yeah.
So congratulations to everyone who got an extra year of credit monitoring on top of the OPM breach. Fannie Mae I think was in there once.
There's just so many.
Honestly, I just go to all the database dumps to try to find my info because it's just faster than actually trying to keep it myself. So yeah, I at this point I guess bye Ben. It's been good knowing
see ya.
you. Bye. At this point I guess it's been fun, and I think I need a new identity. That's what I've learned.
Yeah, I feel like we just tell people to change their passwords, and the underlying detail that passwords protect are unchangeable. And that
I
seems
can't change my
stupid.
social security number again. You know, I can only buy so many off the Silk Road before they shut it down.
True.
The
most recent one, at least.
He says jokingly. Flashiest line says BeyondCorp was 2009.
That's what I thought, dude.
But
BeyondCorp is so old.
It is, but it took a long time because that was that was Project Aurora.
That was Aurora.
Yeah, that was the Aurora attack. So they moved over because of the APT stuff, but it's so hard to do BeyondCorp. It's just so hard. And unless you have millions and millions of dollars to throw at it, like a big company like Google or any of the FANGs, like a startup doesn't have the money to say, buy everyone.
Okay. Well,
a
first
YubiKey.
off, let's not say SonicWall is a startup.
No,
okay?
no, I'm not. Sorry, I was sort of deviating to getting on my
fine.
soapbox here. SonicWall should know better. I mean, your VPN aggregator. Come on, people. Come on.
Jesus. Like, come on. Ridiculous. Also, like, aren't they selling BeyondCorp now? But you have to be part of Google Cloud or something.
I think so. Yeah, because they're going onto the Google admin framework there.
Is there?
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like there were ways around this, and like COVID's reliance on VPN is gross. Like our reliance on VPN is still unacceptable.
Well, so there's been some interesting things with VPN. So companies that used to have full ton of VPN because either A, you didn't have that many users that were using the VPN all the time, or B, your entire workforce was not using the VPN all the time, or you only had a few dedicated remote folks. But as we've pushed everyone remote, I know people who've done split VPN, and now all of the protections that you had with your network protections and your gateways and the your enterprise level firewalls, whatever they happen to be, probably Palo Alto, all of that goes away, and you're 100% relying on host-based metrics off of the systems.
Whatever else you have,
and there's nothing else. So you say like, God, I hope this person's router isn't hacked by Mirai or Emotet or whatever.
right? That's our big concern.
And you lose so much visibility and depth in all of that. So it's kind of forcing everyone to the zero trust model where you say every single device connecting to my network is now untrusted because you're connecting from the dirty coffee shop, right? Like it's it depends on how you do split, but like
I feel like the it depends asterisk can be said about everything in infosec, and you should be focused on eliminating threat models where you can, instead of like coddling everyone to a safer tomorrow.
Yeah, and like I agree with you, Flashy. It's like it depends on how you do split, but like if I have a piece of phishing that's in there, and I get a phishing email and I click some random link, you probably don't have that going over the tunnel. That's probably going out my. I mean, so you know, if you split only some things go out local, like you're basically full tunnel again, right?
Yeah.
And that goes back to the bandwidth problem of having 1,500 people on a VPN aggregator because they just fall over.
Right. VPN capacity planning is also interesting in the COVID world because you probably weren't supporting everyone.
Yeah, you had 50 people on your VPN instead of having you know,
select
2,500
workforce. Yeah.
or tens of thousands for some companies. I agree with you. NIST 800-171. Big cry. Sonic Wall initially,
what is
the net extender thing, and then
net extender,
the lack of transparency with some of these companies in terms of like where the issues are and everything else is just exhausting.
I think that is because we as an industry let security get to a point where lawyers decided what was required first and transparency was second, because you want to mitigate risk to the organization. And that's basically what we do as security practitioners in our organization.
Yeah.
And part of that means there will be no transparency until there has to be.
Yeah, until something goes wrong.
Yeah. It's not fun.
All right, spin the article wheel.
Spin the wheel? All right, let's go again. I lost the tab.
The tab.
All right, I'll go back. Thanks for joining us. This is like a pretty YOLO episode of Sparsa, where we forgot to source a speaker. So we're the speakers. We're the speakers.
Look at me. I'm the speaker now.
Bloomberg defines tendies in all caps.
Oh God, this might actually be my new favorite. So for those of you who have been busy or working or have lived under a rock for the last couple weeks, there is sort of an ongoing retail investor versus hedge fund Wall Street bros.
A real David versus Goliath story.
Yeah. So the short of it is GameStop stock went through the roof. Stonk went through the roof, as it were. So the other day, I believe it was yesterday actually, the House Finance Committee had a hearing on this whole situation because you had Robinhood blocking the trade of securities, including indexes or securities like Palantir and GameStop and AMC, etc., because they were having liquidity problems because their backer Citadel and I'm forgetting the other one, which I'll pull up in a second because I never remember its name. They were Melvin Capital was the other one. So you've got this very weird thing where GameStop stock was over shorted and there was no liquidity in the pool here, and it was just like this whole debacle. And you've got this guy on Reddit. His name is Keith Gill. His name on Reddit is Deep Fucking Value. Oh no, he's Roaring Kitty. Well, he's also Deep Fucking Value. Who bought GameStop in 2019 and again in 2020. To the tune where GameStop hit its peak and hit its peak of like 330. His portfolio is worth $50 million in just GameStop stock. So as this hearing is happening in the House Finance Committee, Bloomberg, so this is a screenshot from Bloomberg, actually put up a lingo guide of what the hell all of this meant for the quote normies quote that we're watching this. So you've got your stonks equal stocks, which only go up. There was definitely someone who's on Wall Street Bets that made this for them because stocks do only go up. Chicken tendies, and you got like paper hands and diamond hands. So it's been an interesting episode to sort of watch the retail investors try to reclaim their share back on the market, and I won't say abusing the same loopholes that the hedge funds have been doing for years, but I will say that, and they've this mass buy in order to remove liquidity on the stock so that the shorters have to sell their position at a huge loss. I mean, I think I saw that the hedge funds that had shorted GameStop had lost $10 billion in January. Like
Nice.
10 billion with a B dollars in January, which is why they were pulling out all the stops and blocking securities trading and everything else in order to try to limit their losses. Because I think one of them is only worth 3. And so that would have taken them to bankruptcy plus some. And with options and securities, you still owe from what you borrowed. So then the clearinghouse that gave it to you is then responsible. Like, this is like SEC investigations all the way down. It is a complete mess, but I am sort of loving the take back by the retail investor of the market instead of this, hedge fund algorithm Wall Street douchebag who just does lines of cocaine until 6 a.m.
The American Psycho version.
Yeah.
Of Wall
Oh my
Street.
God.
Yeah.
Yes. To the moon there, Brandon. To the moon.
We did CNN will also have HODL.
Yeah. CNN had a HODL in there. I only pulled up the first one that just made it on the front page of Wall Street Bets, but there was a bunch of them in there, and watching these boomers try to explain these terms to their audience was incredible to watch.
There's 2 things sad about that. One is like big, like it's generational change, like boomers versus millennials and zoomers. That have been listening to people that are like, oh, you get rich by playing the stock market. Oh, play the stock market. Wait, not like that. There's some of that. But also in like, even in tech, we don't talk about personal finance and financial freedom enough. I remember like, I've just found it like the only tech article or tech blog I follow that talked about finance was Troy Hunt. And he hasn't done it since like 2018.
No, it's been a minute.
But it's a decent article. I'm gonna link it in chat. But it's basically like, dude, money is a measure of the choices you can make, and you should try to be financially independent. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest travesty we have in at least U.S. education, because that's what I'm most familiar with. The probably the biggest travesty we have is the lack of education around the finance skills, anything
personal
for
finance,
personal finance. It's like, a Roth IRA, if you max that out every year in 30 years, you won't have to worry about retirement because you'll be taken care of, because our generation doesn't get the pensions and the retirement plans and everything else. Like, we've got to sort of make our own way. So it's a fascinating sort of,
maybe, I don't know.
Well, I think people are starting to wake up. And as Brandon put in chat there, the good and bad part about the GME stuff is people are more interested in the market. I mean, it's the same thing, in the last 5-10 years, is people are more interested in politics because they understand what's going on. Like, if you asked someone 10 years ago to name the Supreme Court justices, maybe one.
Gonna do it.
Now, I think most people can name at least half. So it's fascinating. It's messy right now, but I think the end goal is going to be much better, where we're in a place where people are at least more educated about personal finance and all this other stuff, which is good. I think the overall is going to be good. I feel terrible for a lot of people who put, too much money into the GameStop stuff when it was at like $200-$300 and lost their shirt. Hopefully they get it back, but like, it's a risk, right? Like, I mean, it's a risky investment. So I feel bad for those folks, but I do think the overall good is that we actually have a better understanding of like how the market works and what an option is, and like how screwed up some of this, where someone can sell 150% of the available shares of a company. Like,
yeah, exactly.
What? That doesn't make sense.
That number doesn't make sense. Cool.
Which is super illegal, by the way. So yeah,
it is very illegal. It's called naked shorting, I think.
Yeah, the naked shorts. I mean, that was part of the, like, sort of tangentially related. The movie The Big Short, if people haven't seen it, is incredible. About the housing collapse or the financial crisis in 2009, and because you had all these AAA securities that were supposedly backed with other AAA securities, but at some point they ended up being backed by these like complete crap D and F securities, and then it all went to shit. So sort of similarly related, but like, that was a really well done movie and take on like what happened there. So cool. Yes, puppies, that's why you don't want to touch options, because that's like the crack addict bet. I mean, that's like bet it all on black for one spin.
Dude, that's what's that thing called on craps where you can just bet YOLO on some numbers?
Yeah, you've got the lay bets and you've got
I don't
the
know.
hops. Yeah, 5-3
can't
hop.
remember.
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Spin the wheel.
Cool. The next wheel spin is Python RCE, which I think we can just like roll into what has been not a great month for Python devs.
Yeah, Pythons have a little bit of a struggle. Let me pull up the article here. So this hit Hacker News yesterday. Python 3x RCE. I think they only said 3x RCE because 2.7 is dead. Thank God. Although I think it's still vulnerable. So that's what's funny. This affects every version of Python.
Oh yeah.
So.
And patches are only now starting to come out.
They came out yesterday.
I don't think underlying, like if you use Docker, the underlying Docker images are patched yet.
No, the Alpine stuff I think is still looking to get patched. But this is the RCE here. Like you just do a C types import and then do a double from params, one E300, and then it just buffer overflows. They say that there's an RCE in here, and I'm certainly not smart enough to understand how these work, but my understanding is buffer overflows lead to RCEs. So I'm assuming that at some point in the near future, someone will be able to turn this into some pretty nasty code. So if you're not running the latest version of Python, which most people aren't because OS X still has Python 2.7 on it, which is fine for someone. Yeah, I mean, if you're not running the latest version of Python, like you're having a problem. This is turning into a really fascinating thing with, these companies with tens of thousands of hosts or hundreds of thousands of nodes. Like, how do you patch Python on a 500,000 hosts without
at the same
breaking
time.
something?
That's what I learned. You do it all at the same time, and then your builds are stuck for 3 days. It turns out, like, the interesting tidbit there, and I'm glad you asked it, is how do we actually do vulnerability management for an underlying basically dependency for a lot of like build systems, packages you might have on your host but don't realize, like, it's a dependency for macOS. So is every macOS host also vulnerable? I think so. Yeah.
Well, there was a really good article a few years ago where that guy did the node investigation, and he installed like a simple package, and he just went and saw how many dependencies it pulled in, and there was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dependencies. And I hate JavaScript, so I'll shit on Node for a second here, and like, but this isn't limited to npm. Like this is pip. This
happened on
this is the Go repositories. Is like the left pad thing from a few years ago, where that guy got angry because people were being jerks or whatever, and he pulled left pad from npm, and it broke the internet for the day because like everything, some like turtle dependency 18 down was relying on left pad for it. So it's interesting. That sort of curtails into the
tracking, eh?
Yeah, the article was like 3 or 4 days ago. Guy went scouring through GitHub for internally named dependencies for npm packages and pip packages, etc., and just registered them on like pip and npm. And the priority of the package managers didn't prioritize internal package servers first.
They always pull the latest version. Right?
Yeah, so they always
read internal.
They always pull latest, so he just incremented it by like 1, and then he had packages, and he got like Apple, Facebook. I think he got like everybody.
Microsoft,
so that man got paid for his few hours of work there. So good on him. But like, it's kind of terrifying to think that people just do like a slap a pip install whatever, and you just like hope that it's good. Yeah. And there's a few like GitHub projects that go through and say like, oh, like your version of Flask or whatever is vulnerable, but like, that's scary.
It's not great.
That's scary.
I think especially with the wheeljacking stuff, like people tell you like pin your dependencies internal, like make sure everything is internal. Sure. Now it's getting to the point where like just pin to a version, please God, pin to a version. Oh my God.
The actually sort of tangentially related, PyCrypto released an update because they're trying to have better memory safe management. So they're actually doing builds in Rust, I think, now instead of C. So they're moving like a bunch of their code over from C to Rust. So they added Rust as a dependency to build the application from source. So you can get it from pip and stuff. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But to build the application from source, you have to have Rust now, which breaks like FreeBSD. I think like it breaks like operating systems people don't use.
Right.
And so like there was this flame war on the thread, and at the end of the day, so to the people who were annoyed, to their credit, the version that changed was basically between like a 0.1 and a 0.2, which is like kind of bullshit because they don't do semvar, but they also weren't pinning their versions. So they were grabbing PyCrypto latest. And when that happened, it broke people's build pipelines until they went and actually, pinned their repositories or pinned their software versions. So that's kind of scary too, where you're like, okay, first of all, breaking change happening in a minor version sucks. Actually, it's a patch version, sucks. But like a production pipeline being affected by that, like, bro, that's not on them. And there's the classic XKCD comic, right? Of like some poor dude in Omaha is like supporting this dependency that the entire internet relies on.
We'll call it image magic.
and
Just like, we'll just throw it out there.
Yeah, image magic. And that's like PyCrypto, right? Where you're
basically,
PyCrypto is used in so many things, and I think people don't realize it. Like if you install Django, you installed PyCrypto because it's a dependency in there.
Doesn't PySSL also pull?
PySSL has like
if you want to pull
any security library in Python has it. It's a really well maintained library, but it's like a couple guys who maintained it. I think one guy works for he works for the DoD now, I think. And his website's actually pretty funny because he's like, I do security things outside of work, and it's like, yeah, I wonder what you do at work, buddy. Yeah, that must have been an interesting conversation with someone. Like,
oh, man.
I maintain the open source library to handle cryptography for all of Python, which is a few people have installed this.
God.
So it's concerning to me. Like there are a few package scanners, and I've worked at jobs where, you go through and you do the package scanner of things, but like those are only so good.
By package scanner, do you mean like a dependency scanner?
Yeah, the dependency scanner. When you go through and you say, oh, like this is reliant on an old version, or you've got like a like a concern here,
NVD checks, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But those only catch so much, and if someone pushes a bad version and something up there, how fast does that catch it? Like, I don't know. but here we are. So it's exciting. We have fun here.
Yeah, I think we had where I work, somebody decided to mark anything that built through the build system with that version of Python as unable to build. So
Yikes.
naturally, since everything uses Python, everything was unable to build.
Yep.
Was
the build
then everyone was like,
server
"Oh
unable to
yes, to pass." The build server was able to build. It just uses Rails. Yikes. Rails, Ruby. I don't remember.
They're both trash.
They have this graph of like builds waiting to produce, and like when that vuln hit, it just like.
and it just never went down.
And it still hasn't gone down, and it's 6:30 on the East Coast, so like it's probably still there.
Building on a Friday.
Shame. It's probably fine.
Shame. All right, spin the wheel.
All right. I spun it and then I forgot where we were. Let's spin it again.
We'll just spin it again. I'll actually.
We're going to. We got Emotet takedown. I was already.
Ben, you want to talk about this? You want me to talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Emotet and Egregor. Was that the other one?
I think so. Yeah, Egregor.
I only read about Emotet, so you're gonna have to.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically the same story. I mean, it was Ukrainian police both times, right? Just like kicking ass and taking names. The pictures are kind of phenomenal if we can find those somewhere, or the video of them going through the dude's apartment. I think that was for Emotet.
Let me try to pull it up while you talk about it.
Yeah, just to see what you get for the multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. You still live in a fucking tenement apartment in Ukraine.
Oh my god, this is actually incredible. All right, hold on. I'll pull this up while you talk. There you go. So
yeah, you see all the pictures of these assholes running around in Lambos and stuff, and then you see that like.
Can you increase the text size as well?
I'm trying to click the
Control plus a little bit.
Hold on, I'll just
Oh,
do
you
it.
may have to open it on YouTube for real.
Open it in theater mode, and we have to commentate over this. You know,
We're just gonna full screen this bad boy. You know.
we're just gonna. Oh shit! All right, let's see
There
how
you
this
go.
goes. Okay. All right,
Yeah,
what's
like
he going
look
through?
at look
What
at
is that?
That's like the world's worst
Is that
homeland.
a stamp?
I mean,
Is
this
that
kind of
a-
looks like my desk. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, 1.5 T-Gate Western Digital Green. Nice.
Oh, sweet, dude.
Burner
Greens
phones?
didn't even spring for the reds. Oh
Nope.
my gosh.
Burner phones.
Hold
So
on.
Look
yeah,
at those cell
Yeah.
phones.
No sides, no case.
oh
on
my
the
god.
computer.
Yeah, this.
Laptop hard drives.
Yeah.
Those laptops, that was definitely either XP or Vista right there,
Yeah.
dude. There was
So if folks don't remember, Emotet spread through Microsoft Word, I think, right?
Yeah, they were Office macro stuff. At
Yeah.
least
Oh.
initially.
Yeah, Office macro stuff, and then this is actually kind of cool. So it looks like the folks who participated was, oh my god, I'm gonna,
Is that a stack of passports?
yeah. dude, and
What?
cash.
Oh my damn.
So you've got Netherlands, Germany, France, the USA, Lithuania, Canada, UK, and Ukraine, who all paired together to participate in the takedown, and Europol. So I think most of those countries are part of Europol.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones
I mean,
obviously
this is like
in
this
Europe.
is very big, like the wheels of justice turn, but they turn slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Emotet was 2014 banking Trojan.
Yep.
There you go.
It
Polymorphic
goes back
changes.
that far.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was one of the first polymorphic viruses, I think. Which is kind of fun, you know, for some definition of fun.
Mariah Wen, dude. Mariah Wen.
Oh my god, this is my favorite thing. From the United States, the following authorities took part. Ready? The FBI, the U.S.
Sure.
Department of Justice. These make sense,
Okay.
right? And the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Middle District of North Carolina.
Yo, what happened in North Carolina that we're not hearing about?
Someone's case did really well.
Hold on.
in circuit court.
Let me figure out where the Middle District of North Carolina is.
Something fucked up happened in North Carolina that we're not
Yeah.
hearing about.
I want to
That's
know.
amazing.
I want to know what this covers. It's not RTP. I'll tell you that. I don't think it covers any. There's nothing here.
I don't know.
Montgomery County, but there's a Montgomery County in every state, so I have no idea. All right, look at this very nice Eastern European man explain to us what happened in a language we don't understand. So
Sure. Yeah,
that's fine. We're living our best life over here.
we're trying.
So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's nice when these big takedowns happen. It's always a little concerning to me that these criminals are still doing like these single points of failure.
Well, so
like-
that's where it gets crazy though, because a lot of the customers of this stuff, what are they calling it? Ransomware as a service now.
Yeah.
So they'll literally
RAS.
bounce from one botnet to anher, and it's like, oh, Emotet's gone. Okay, I guess Mariah's up now.
Right,
What's the
but
next
like-
one? Yeah.
With a few of the most recent botnets, like they all had a single C2 or a couple C2s, and so I'm a little concerned for the world we get to where we do like a peer-to-peer thing, and you do some sort of
sure.
like master election or
Decentralized?
something,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it gets scary because you that's a lot harder to take down. Granted, like you know, at some point, you know, if someone says I'm the newest version and everybody grabs the newest version, and you can play games with it, but like if we can figure something like that out, that would be terrifying. Like that would be absolutely terrifying. Brandon's
That's
asking
awesome.
what bank is in North Carolina. North
Bank is
Carolina,
HQ.
I mean,
Carolina banks.
Some lazy OSINT right here, dude.
Yeah, like the middle, like
are we a Threat Intel stream now?
we are a threat
Oh,
intel stream.
shit.
The best
Subscribe to our Threat Intel screen. SPARSA.org/donate.
Value Penguin is telling me the best bank in North Carolina. All right. Good talk. They don't pay me
Value.
for a sponsorship, so get bent.
Yeah, true.
All right. Spin the wheel.
Not yet.
All right, cool. We're down to only 3 stories left, and
That was
what
fast.
came up next was mine. Just 2.6% of 2019's 18,000 vulnerabilities were actively exploited. That's like it's like
2.6%.
it's a big clickbait article, definitely. But what the fuck is that?
Is that
number?
kind of? Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
dude, of course
that's
it is.
about
Yeah, it is.
that's about 500, by the way.
What?
So
That number seems either too low, Or like we suck at assessing severity. It's definitely asterisk that we know of.
Well, like there's like, have you seen some of the CVEs? A lot of them are like you can DOS this if it's got this specific set of flags or whatever.
Yeah.
set.
You know,
So,
there's
like, sure.
there's this company that submitted me a coordinated disclosure, and we fixed everything. And what we found out later in the process is that they were phishing to get CVEs. And what some research companies are doing is like they just make their employees do these coordinated disclosures with the hopes that somebody will give them a CVE. And that is ridiculous to me.
So here's my thing. Like, I like Kenna research. I think they do some good stuff. But the problem with all of these Kenna reports is that they're solely based on Kenna customers running their product. And I would wager to bet that if you're sophisticated enough in your security model that you are tracking vulnerabilities in your enterprise with Kenna, you might be a notch above what the rest of the world has for a security posture. So I think they actually they admit to this in some of their reports too. Like, there's definitely some confirmation bias in their model.
to quote
so
chat,
is this like just 2.6% are exploited, or use Kenna and 2.6%?
In the Kenna customer set, 2.6% of the vulnerabilities were
we've got an alien situation happening here.
Hashtag accidental sales pitch.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. Like they do good research and stuff, but like their data set is skewed.
Oh, absolutely. So chat, you know, that we know of, yes. And then also, what is sampling bias? Correct.
Sampling bias. Yeah, exactly. Profit's got it.
Correct to both.
Yeah.
Cool. Next on the wheel. We're just gonna go. I guess we're just going down. Linux Mint screensaver bypass. Rusty, take us away.
Cool. So, you know, still in the year of our Lord 2021. You thought the dumb stuff was fixed, but let me show you the Linux Mint Cinnamon screensaver repository.
Make it bigger.
Oh, we're gonna go big. So, issue, screensaver lock bypass. Okay. Reproduce lock system, click virtual keyboard, type on real keyboard while also typing on virtual keyboard as many keys as possible.
This was the one with the kids smashing the keyboard.
This is it. Other information. My kids wanted to hack my desktop, so they typed and clicked everywhere. And this guy's just like, okay, and then they're in, right? You're like, well, yikes. Four more little hands typing.
Like this, it feels like we try too hard sometimes in the easy post.
So when I was in high school, my family went on a trip to Ireland, and I remember being on the plane, and there was like a hangman game that you could play on the seat. And I remember getting bored at one point in the flight and just trying to see what would happen if I like overflowed the number of characters that you were allowed to have. So I was just sitting there for like 10 minutes, just like hitting the A key or whatever on the keypad. And eventually it rebooted. Like the entire like seat back infotainment system just rebooted.
Later.
I didn't realize. Yeah, this is how you reproduce the bug. Oh my God. This was my favorite thing. The two keyboard NCIS.
Yeah.
Oh shit,
that meme never gets old.
I didn't realize that this actually affected like all of X11.
I'll make it bigger. I can't read it.
It was an X11 bug? It wasn't just Linux Mint?
No. It was, so if we go back to the article.
Oh God.
And I'm sorry for scrolling like a donkey here. It affects all distros and is a regression from this commit here. So the commit was a fix. So this was a bug that was found, this heap buffer overflow, and the fix introduced this new vuln.
They did it, dude,
which is amazing.
No.
So it's a regression in X11, which is my favorite.
That's not a regression you want, dude.
Yeah, congratulations, you regressed in
Is there a
bypass?
way to remove the virtual keyboard, dude? I love
there was a thing with Windows the other day too, or a couple years ago. The other day is like from the beginning of time until last week.
True.
I think Windows had something with a virtual keyboard as well, where like you could be in kiosk mode and the keyboard and mouse wouldn't work, but the virtual keyboard would still work, which was...
That sounds right.
I mean, but I appreciate them being amenable to people who need the virtual keyboard, like hackers and other unauthorized individuals.
It just reminds me of like backdooring sticky keys, like the classic.
Oh my God, yeah. Backdoor sticky keys get system easy.
Yeah.
Easy clap.
Never gets old.
I was at a couple events where the kids couldn't get into their system, but they knew that sticky keys was backdoored, so they kept prompting it to get their system shell on their lock screen because they couldn't get in. What they didn't realize was that was also sending a callback to us as well. So the cost of doing business, I guess. What do we got? Cool. The last one, the pseudo buffer overflow.
The last one, pseudo buffer overflow.
Pseudo.
This one was just a nasty one. So let me make this bigger for it. Well, I'll just drag it over. So this pretty gnarly overflow here.
You're not sharing.
I am. It's on stream.
Oh.
The stream's delayed.
Oh, there. Oh, I'm low. Yeah, I'm behind. F.
You guys are just slow. So I don't remember exactly how you trigger it unless this guy has it in here. But there's like this really gnarly overflow where if you do like ID -1 or ID 32 million something, whatever the int overflow is,
sure,
just dropped you as a root shell, which was amazing.
These are the things that make you wonder, like, how did it take so long for somebody to find this?
Well, I mean, you remember Shell Shock, right? Like that thing was in there since 1995, and someone found it 6 years ago. Like, there's a few really long-lived bugs that are being found now that are pretty funny. The Windows Defender one the other day.
Some awful things may or may not have been done to the RIT infrastructure as a result of that from the RIT security labs.
Allegedly. So you've got a lot of new people looking at the Linux kernel. So you're finding these ones. This pseudo thing is another really interesting one because anytime you get a privilege escalation,
was that found from fuzzing or was this like?
I'm not sure. Someone would have to read the article.
They said how they found it.
The article's really long. He does a pretty good write up. I just sort of glossed over once I looked at like 30 lines of C.
Sure.
Windows Defender had an interesting bug the other day that had been around for 2008, I think. So it doesn't win the title of longest running vulnerability, but it's a decade's pretty good. So that's
pretty good.
I have to say, as someone who started their career in the red team side of things, I really love when there's vulnerabilities in security products or when security products are leveraged as an attack vector.
Yeah.
It's the best.
There was it last year or the year before that the Pulse VPN, it was 2 years ago, the Pulse VPN bug.
My God.
My
That's
favorite
the gift that keeps on giving.
My favorite part about that one was we were trying to do some IR to figure out what happened. And we're like, okay, we're talking to because it was Juniper who owned them at the time, right? Because I think they're trying to sell them off right now. Unclear.
Oh, it's already sold. I think they're sold.
So we're talking to the support reps, and we're like, cool. How do we get the logs off these boxes? They're like, oh, you can't, or you have to enable these settings, but that's only new logs going forward. And I'm like, no, you guys are basically running a Linux box. This has to be. There's logs on this box. So we were leveraging the vulnerability to get into the shell, so we could like cat var log, auth log, whatever, and then like patching, like getting the logs off, and then like patching it behind us, right? But they were like, you can't get a system level shell. I was like, bullshit, I can't give a system level shell. Like, tell me how to get it. I was like, yeah, fine, go away, guys. I'm just gonna like leverage the vulnerability that's in the wild right now to get a system shell. Like, you guys suck.
Sounds right.
So that's always that was the gift that really kept on giving. That was a week of my life I won't get back, but we had a lot of fun popping our own boxes in order to patch them because Pulse is being really slow about it. Yes, it's just like BusyBox on the back end or
BusyBox.
I'm not shocked.
Good God.
It's something easy.
It's fine. Yeah, the number of
Definitely
bypasses that have happened just from like people face rolling their keyboards is probably equal to the number of like big brain geniuses like, Tavis, right? Like sitting there doing like these gigabrain like buffer overflows. You're like, I'm just gonna smash like the letter 1 for 37 minutes.
You've got like Google Project Zero, and then you've got the dude's kids who just smash the virtual keyboard a lot. Both of them got CVEs.
Oh my God.
And then nothing in between. There's nothing in between. Patching 7 Pulse secure clusters over a week was the worst. That sounds
just turn them off, dude.
Awful.
You don't need them.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
Well,
yeah,
like
everyone's in the office.
Sonic Walls. I had to step out before you guys finished talking about SonicWall, but SonicWall's initial guidance to their customer base was create an allow list of your entire remote workforce.
Which might have been a reasonable statement a
Pre-COVID.
year ago.
In like 1996, maybe.
I know.
Sure.
I know we're on like March.
Even then, though, like pre-COVID, people traveled.
They
Like,
did.
you're gonna tell your salespeople, are you gonna whitelist all the, or
Dude.
allow list all the like
Yeah.
airports in the world?
The
like,
Marriott
Allow list
Bonvoy.
everything just reminds me of like
Yeah.
shitty college advice where they were like, if your network is this small, you should use MAC address to allow lists. And blah, blah, blah. No one fucking does that, dude. Get over yourself.
MAC address
Oh,
auth for APs.
Speaking of MAC addresses, I just noticed this the other day. So like this could be my boomer eyes not noticing this.
I love it.
The iPhone by default does private address, like an automatic private address. So when you connect to an AP, it generates a new MAC address for you, so they can't track you between access points.
Smart.
That's pretty cool. I
Which
didn't know
is awesome, especially when you're connected to like big public Wi-Fi's, like Disney World or like
The airport.
the airport.
that. Yeah, the airport.
To restrict all the tracking, like device tracking.
Mhm.
So like.
Actually makes a lot of sense with all the other stuff they're doing to track or to curb like ad tracking and
Oh,
stuff too.
and
Yeah.
they told Facebook to pound sand,
To fuck
yeah.
off. Yeah, it was
which
amazing.
is awesome. Yeah, I think Android.
Yeah.
Well, I assume Android did it 6 years ago because basically all of the iPhone features that are like new and sexy this year, like Android's
Yeah.
had in their side loads for like 4 years.
Yeah. The problem with Android is like, I don't know, man. They still want to sell you ads.
I mean, it
That's why you
turns
have to
out.
buy like the like classic Google phones. Like I only buy Pixels
Yeah.
now because I
I
will not buy like fucking
Um,
Samsung.
The Samsung ones, yeah.
Well, we know a couple people who got
Motorola.
Samsungs recently. They got like the Samsung Galaxy Note 2 or Note 11 or Note whatever. Which
the
one doesn't go
Fold.
boom anymore?
Flex. I don't know.
And they returned it because there's
I
so
remember
much
that.
bloatware and bullshit on it. And
Yeah.
I actually posted in our chat here. I was like, "Where's like my cyanogen mod?" And there's actually a new dude. Cyanogen mod
It's
was
not
so
Cyanogen
good.
anymore. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
it was.
it's a new thing. It's
It's,
called
there's a new one.
it's Lineage OS.
That's right.
And I haven't had a chance to play with this at all because my here's my pile of phones. So these are my phones over time. So here's my Android ecosystem.
Oh,
I've got a couple.
I see.
So I might load one of those with Lineage and see what happens.
God damn.
I think the last Android I loaded on those was it wasn't Key Lime Pie. I think it might have been H. Was that Honeycomb?
Ice cream sandwich? Honeycomb?
Honeycomb.
No,
Yeah.
H-
honeycomb was tablets only. I don't think
Oh,
it
it
was
was-
honeycomb. Probably
yeah,
ice cream sandwich.
Ice cream
Might
sandwich.
have been
Yeah.
ice cream sandwich. Yeah. Wow. That's a throwback.
Ah, dude, right? Bringing it back.
I still like my Android phones. I've been an Android fanboy since the beginning. I had one of the fucking slide out Motorola ones with the keyboard.
Dude,
I left
the,
out of the droid.
Was it the one
Yeah,
that
the
flipped?
original
The
droid.
Samsung
I had
kit, or was it the droid or the Samsung
No, it was the
Kick?
original droid with the slide out.
Yeah,
That
I
one was
had
pretty
those.
good.
Slide out
The-
keyboard.
the,
I
um,
love that phone.
The sidekick.
So,
The
I did the
Sidekick. Oh, I remember the sidekick.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Who
Oh my
had that?
God.
So
Yes.
actually, it's
Motorola, right?
I thought it was like T-Mobile or something. But I thought they had an exclusive deal on it.
T-Mobile
Oh,
had an
exclusivity?
exclusive on it or
Oh,
something.
Yeah.
damn.
So
Full
the
ass
sidekick was
T-Mobile
actually really
exclusive.
interesting because it was one of the first full size. I think it was the only phone with a full size keyboard. And given that all three of us went to a school that had a very large deaf community, like that phone was everywhere on
Yeah.
campus. Because like it's just so much easier to not T9 on a freaking phone when you're trying to have a conversation,
yeah.
especially when that's like your only method of communication. So
Oh god.
danger, a company no longer around. Is this Cyanogen mod? Turns out you lose all your
Yeah,
customer data.
Cyanogen mod died.
So Cyanogen actually
Oh,
had an
really?
office
Wow.
right down the road from
yeah, I remember.
from us at Palantir in Palo
Crazy.
Alto, at paying far too much money for a tiny little office in Palo Alto.
Sounds
You
right.
have to do it for the image or something. I
As
don't
is
know.
tradition.
Oh, that's cool. Prophet says in chat, Timo would sell people the phone and not make them pay for a voice line, which
Oh.
seems like a reasonable thing to do. But I'm surprised that a corporation did it. If it was AT&T and you said that to me, my jaw would be on the floor. I'd be absolutely flabbergasted.
No, T-Mobile's the cool company.
T-Mobile. Oh, hip and cool, dude. The T-Mobile CEO
gone,
on
right?
Twitter is like fellow
he
kids
gone?
meme all over again.
I thought he was out. I thought the Sprint boy was coming in now.
Dude, I
Is
don't
he
know.
out?
Oh yeah, because they had the
I
Sprint
don't know.
merger.
Oh, because of the merger. Maybe.
Yeah, back in
Oh,
back
no,
in the
John
era of
Mulgare's
AIM.
still...
All I know is I don't know what happens to my Google Fi from here because the two providers just became one provider. So
Probably nothing. Yeah.
probably nothing.
Listen, just go to USS Cellular. I see all their commercials all the time.
Oh
Maybe
my
maybe it's
God.
just around me.
Dude, when visiting you in Wisconsin with Google Fi was probably the worst experience with Google Fi I've had so far.
My house is at like a dead spot.
Dead zone.
Because
Absolutely
I
dead zone.
had
at least
Google.
at least Wi-Fi calling's a thing on
Yeah,
Fi.
I
we'll
had
just-
Google Fi. Dude, my AT&T phone also is shit around here. So I had
Yeah.
Google Fi for a while because I had the Nexus 5, I think. I think that was one of the first Google Fi phones, and I had it around here.
Yeah.
And I'm like in my basement, not on Wi-Fi, and I get like a bar, and I'm like around like doing grocery shopping and stuff, and it's like a bar, maybe two.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't survive like this. So I had to go back to AT&T. I was just like, felt awful
It was
because
like the only place I've ever had Google Fi connect to US Cellular was when I was in Wisconsin.
right? Yeah. Well, I had to. So
That's
I
awesome.
had ported my
Everywhere
number.
else, it's T-Mobile.
Yeah, I ported my number away, and then I like shamefully ported it back like 2 weeks later. I was like,
That's
"Hey
funny.
guys, sorry I made you like send my number to someone. It's back. Can I have service again, please?" Like it was the emoji like, "Ooh, can I have service, please?"
Woo, please. True.
Can I have my expensive contract back,
Oh
please?
my god. Oh, it was good, dude. Okay, so speaking of expensive contracts and sort of my tirade against the baloney monopolies that these service
we're gonna
providers
talk about
have.
internet service providers now.
We are.
Oh, no.
We are going to talk about them,
Oh, boy.
which is horseshit from both the cell phone providers and the ISPs for like a decade. They're like, unlimited data is impossible. If everyone uses it, everything dies and you're grandfathered in. And like, oh yeah, everyone are remote, and like everyone's
figured it
got
out.
unlimited data because if you data cap me while I'm working remote, I'm gonna firebomb your office. And
it was
like
fine.
there are moments, surge moments. I'm sure in the larger cities, I know folks who have had issues with congestion and stuff, but like,
Yeah.
understandable. But like, we've managed to make it work. So data caps are bullshit, and anyone who tries
True.
to tell me otherwise is wrong.
So
Uh,
have you guys been following the Comcast bullshit
No, what's Comcast
on the East
doing?
Coast? So yeah, I know you guys have had Comcast data caps on the West Coast.
Yeah.
In California forever.
Yep.
We luckily have some competition in Washington, so we have some like local ISP. I don't have to use Comcast, but
it's a
I
local
guess
ISP called CenturyLink.
it is not CenturyLink. Although that
Oh,
is an
man.
option too. No, I have. It's called WaveG or something. I don't know. It's been great though.
I've heard of them.
Fucking
They've got a couple offerings.
Gigabit to the house. It's fantastic. But so in New England, Comcast is the biggest. I mean, there's a little bit of competition, but it's the biggest.
Mhm.
And they were going to impose data caps as of like January 2021.
Okay.
And being the dark blue states that New England are, the state legislatures were all like, "No, you fucking don't." And we're going to introduce legislation to basically like kneecap Comcast. So they finally backed down and were like, okay, we're gonna wait until 2022 or whatever. They
Was
just
that
punted the can
it
down
was
the road
just a
again.
prank, bro? Was that like the
Yeah, it
classic?
It was just a prank.
They were basically just like, "Oh, we're sorry."
We're sorry.
We're sorry.
Yeah.
I hate it.
So, it's
there
just the worst.
there was a conversation. There was a thing in Congress the other day, and I like watching like these congressional hearings,
they're
but I
talking
also
about.
hate watching them because like they had like this service providers, Comcast, Charter,
Mhm.
take your pick. First of all, we're back to a world where we're as big as the Baby Bells were. So like Ma Bell like needs to be
Yeah.
broken up again. Like it took 30 years,
Comcast needs to
but
be broken up
congratulations.
again.
It's like
Fuck
it's like T1000 where he like congealed back into one shitty ISP again. But they're
Yeah.
like, we don't have a monopoly, and it's like, okay, how do you not have a monopoly? It's like, well, you see, Time Warner is in Los Angeles and Spectrum is in San Francisco, and so there's not a monopoly because we don't compete in LA. It's like, okay, so the cable companies overall are just screwing America.
Together.
I can just get another ISP, right? Okay, so example here at my house, I have Spectrum, and I hate it, but it's the only thing that offers. So I called AT&T the other day, and I think you guys have heard this story, but the chat hasn't, so they can be regaled with my tirade for a moment. And I called AT&T the other day, and I was talking to a lovely lady on the phone, and I was like, cool, because AT&T is a telco, and sometimes telcos do have fiber. And I was like, cool. Do you have fiber? And she answered yes, and I was flabbergasted. And so I was like, awesome. What do you have? And she goes, well, what are you looking for? And I was like, I don't know. Like one symmetrical, one being a gig. I was like, you know, the one symmetrical, that would be great. She's like, oh yeah, I think we have that. I was like, wait, what's the fastest you have? She goes, I think we have like 4 down. And I was like,
whoa,
the what?
Now you're talking my language.
I was so stoked. And so we're talking a little bit, and she goes, oh yeah, I have it in my house. It's great. I was like, why have I not heard about this? Like, I'm a pretty technically savvy person. How have I not heard that like there's fiber in my area? And then we're going through, and it turns out it's actually 4 megabits, because it's DSL. It's actually, is it VDSL? Is that the new thing they have? It's bonded VDSL lines. And it's 768 kilobits per second up. So I hung up on her, and I said, call me when you have real internet, which was not good. So I called Spectrum back, and I said, hey, what would it take? Could I get a second modem to my house? So I actually have dual WANs here. I actually do have an AT&T line for failover, just in case. Like yesterday when my Spectrum line went down 11 times in an hour, that was fun. My internet didn't go down. I get weird hiccups when everything failed over, but failover test successful. So I called Spectrum. I was like, can I get another modem? And I'll just maybe I'll get a 300 meg modem or another gig modem, whatever. And they're like, sure. I was like, that sounds great. And they're like, but sometimes if we see that there's 2 modems on one physical line, we think that it's someone pirating stuff, and we'll shut down the line. And I was like, so I'll go from 2 modems to no modems? Like this completely negates this completely negates any failover if you just take my entire account offline. Like, what?
That's ridiculous.
And you can't open a second account at the same address, because the addresses
Can you
are
just get a
unique.
business account? I mean, they must offer redundancy for businesses.
No, because so I used to have a business account, and I have a residential account, and like those people don't talk to each other. I could write like a War and Peace novel of my interactions with Spectrum during my time here. It's absolutely the worst. But yeah, they just say, oh, just go get another provider, and I'm like, okay, do I get the 4 megabit VDSL, bonded VDSL? Do I get the satellite or the cellular internet? I did sign up for Starlink. This tirade will continue for a moment before we actually get to real questions, I guess. I will say I love what Google Fiber started. I disagree with Google on a lot of things these days, but I love what Google Fiber started in terms of at least disrupting the market a little bit, because for the first time we have regional ISPs, cities who are like, go pound sand, like we're going to build our own ISP. We have some competition, like the competition you have, Ben, up in Seattle there. And you've got things like Starlink, where it's like,
fuck your regulation.
You're
to you from space.
You're now going around some of the bullshit that these monopolies have had for so long.
Well, and that's also the bullshit excuse too, is like, we have to maintain the lines, we have to maintain the towers, we have to maintain all that physical infrastructure. It's like, okay, fuck you, we'll just send internet from space.
What really chaps my ass is the billions and billions of dollars in tax credits these guys have gotten over the last 25 years,
and
when
then
they said
use it for their infrastructure.
Well, they said we'll have fiber to Philadelphia by like 2010. In 1995, nothing. No, I think we're still waiting for it, right?
It's in some areas.
Yeah, but okay. And then I think Verizon had their fiber offering. I think they sold it, didn't they?
Verizon has theirs.
I had fiber in Maryland.
They sold part of the business unit though. So now, like, you lost a bunch of competition. So now we're kind of back to this like weird monopoly cable shenanigans.
Disgusting.
Yeah, Verizon sold off the Fios customers in the area they exited. Oh, they sold it to Frontier.
Frontier. Frontier. I remember Frontier from Rochester.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know
but
how
I
to.
remember Frontier being a thing.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but Zepto. We're gonna say Zepto. But like FiOS is there, but Verizon wasn't the company getting the billions of tax cuts and tax credits. It was the Spectrums. Well, I think the Comcasts at that point. Like the companies that were getting these massive tax cuts were not the companies that are actually rolling out fiber in these areas, which blows my mind. I'm angry.
That's awesome.
This is why I have like a half a petabyte of offline storage. So even if my internet is shit, I still have all my content.
Rusty
True.
internet.
We can pivot to roundtable if you.
Yeah, let's pivot over. So
If anyone would like to join the conversation, just hop in Discord and we'll pull you into the stream.
yeah,
Yeah.
So,
we're all hanging out here, so having a good time.
Yeah. there's not a lot of formality to this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think one of the interesting conversations that sort of started middle of or when COVID started last year, and obviously continuing into this year was security competitions. We'll sort of say overall security meetups and then kind of competitions. I'm hoping that we get some form of he's a Windows hacker. Yeah, buddy. I'm hoping we get some form of meetup, at least mid or late summer. Hopefully that everything is moderately back to normal by then. I was definitely bummed out that we didn't have DEF CON last year and ShmooCon certainly, because how are we going to defend our back to back TF2
Hack Fortress Champions.
Hack Fortress Champions. So I'm hoping that comes back, but I'm actually really excited for this year's sort of security competition season. I sort of view the security competition season as kind of February to May. That's kind of like the CCDC season and kind of when everything kicks off. It got weird last year with CCDC kind of going online at the last minute, and because we were at ISTS the week before everything shut down.
That's right. That's crazy that
and
we
then
did that.
and then CCDC went online like last minute, and like that was challenging. I hold like I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, because that was like you're building a shopping mall out of matchsticks like that. You had nothing to work with across all of the regions and nationals. So that was just hard. VPNs, etc. We talked about VPN aggregators not being able to handle traffic. That was exactly it. Then you try to pipe password scanners through there.
Yeah, dude. Everyone's trying to mass scan through the damn
whole
aggregator.
mess. So
What could possibly go wrong?
So that's a challenge, and I actually really am excited for this year. And I know at least the kids at RIT have a pretty good infrastructure in place. So I'm captaining the red team this year for ISTS, and I've been talking to Raydan, and they have a pretty good grasp on what they want this competition to look like. So I'm excited for the competition being online. I think it actually makes it a little more approachable for people to compete. Granted, there was some funds and some fundraising and stuff that happened, but the kids from UCF would always come up every year, and that's a non-zero flight, right?
It's a big trip.
It's a big trip. Hotels, flights, all that jazz for 6 people plus a coach and stuff. So like it adds up. And I'm super thankful for sponsors and everyone else for sponsors and everybody for helping allow that to happen. But having it online unlocks so much. Granted, I will miss being in person and shit posting with everyone in person, but for a middle ground, I think this would be super fun.
In general,
I think this would be
like
super
it's
fun.
It's just entry fee, as long as you can pay entry fee.
Yeah, more online CTFs. I'm super excited for. This is kind of the disrupt situation, right? I'm excited for like more people to get involved in competitions, just because like you went to DEF CON and you did the CTF or you did the thing, and like it wasn't really approachable from the outside, but now that everything's online,
no more foot races.
I love it.
I think
no
what's
more foot races this year.
A big like sort of symptom to what's happening here is if you did Advent of Cyber on Try Hack Me, also a great platform, they went down because there was so much interest during the like Advent season.
Oh, have you seen his
It's crazy
TED? It's not a TED talk. I'll post it in chat when I find it. He did a pretty funny talk about the advent of code,
nice,
about the infrastructure. and how he expected like 100 people, and it turns out there was like 10,000 people.
Yeah, there was people had not a lot to do in person last year, it turned out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lot pretty bored. So I posted that in chat for everybody.
Outside of kid. Nice.
Fire Hazard says SparkCon. We could do a SparkCon. I'm, maybe not this year.
We need some more money, but we could do that.
But I think that's where we're trying to take, sort of as a big picture conversation, that's kind of where we're trying to take Sparsa, is to a place where we are making, the whole point is security education. So we want to make this super approachable for everyone, regardless of background or how much money you make or whatever it happens to be. We want, if you're interested in security, we want to make security available to you, whatever that looks like. So whether we do meetups or CTFs or these meetings or whatever it happens to be. So stay tuned, ? So
scholarships.
Fire Hazard scholarships. Yeah, I think we're really excited about those. Zoomer RIT will beat the boomers this year. No, you won't. The boomers
said, like, when we were competitive gamers, we played TFT.
the boomers.
Do you ever feel like we were just shitlords though when you look at what ISTS used to be, what ISTS is now?
I think, so
yep.
So yes and no.
Technology has evolved, but we also
but like yes and no. And I will give all the credit in the world to the kids these days, because they have made it, like, they've really leveled it up.
It's incredible compared to what it used to be.
But you start with ISTS 1, and that's like the true boomer generation. And I was around from like 7 through 13, like 7 through 12 when I was in college. And like, it was a shit show the night before building everything. And you're like copying like hundreds of gigs across the SAN, and it fell over. And then you're configuring DNS at 7 in the morning.
We were imaging hosts.
You're imaging that day.
Yeah.
But now we're in a world where you have so much additional
CI/CD has totally changed.
Yeah, you've got so much additional infrastructure and Docker and containerization and orchestration. What did we have available to us? Like shitty Puppet, maybe.
That's right.
We had, when I ran ISTS 10, we got 3 big ass servers from Dell that we tried to put ESX on and push all the VMs to, but we tried to push them all the night of the competition.
Well, a lot of those we didn't have a choice, because we were stealing info from the lab, and they were available until 2 p.m. on Friday.
Whenever the class was done, yeah.
Oh yeah,
and then you brought it all down.
Them all whenever the last class ended, and then start imaging.
Yeah, and so like, granted, like there was almost zero preparation beforehand. Like I feel like some of those could have been. We built some VMs. But then regardless, we always ran into like hardware compatibility issues and like all sorts of other weird stuff.
I swear I feel like the kids these days are like learning about WMI and like in general.
Yeah.
Like big into Windows internals, because like for fun. We did it because the shit just didn't run.
You're trying to figure out what went wrong?
Some one person on the tinier Stack Overflow was like, run this giant command and maybe it works. And like we would literally just go like, bloop. Don't know what this does. Enter.
I always copy paste code from the internet. Yeah.
I think you also
teach you about VLANs
Flash's line. Yes, you did. Yeah, that was a mess. Although that it wasn't as bad as the year that we had everything configured on the network stack and then the switch fell over. That was fun.
No!
When poor Brian was sitting there with his head down on the networking stack and all the ports turned orange.
Oh no!
I still think my favorite story was when you're like, Rusty, you understand DNS. Why isn't this working? And I'm sitting configuring the competition DNS.
Man. I actually hadn't slept in 48 hours.
No, but I'm sitting down in the fishbowl. So all the students, all the competitors are outside. I'm sitting down in the fishbowl, and I'm configuring
DNS.
DNS.
Red team shirt on.
I have got a red team shirt on. I'm sitting at a competitor's PC, logged into one of the DCs, configuring DNS, and some of the kids are like freaking out. They're like, "What the hell is he doing on my machine? What's going on there?" And then like I think Ben walked out. He was like, "He's fixing it. Like, shut up."
You won't have a competition if you don't shut up and let him do it. Well, because you had been the DNS guy for CCDC, so it's just like we were all like, the white team was so tired at that point. We were just like, okay, who knows how to DNS properly? Rusty knows how to DNS properly. All right, go get him out of the red team room. He's gonna fix this.
Probably should have changed my shirt, but you know what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was fun. So I'm excited for this year. I think ISTS is the first sort of event on
the hashtag remote first event.
yeah, sort of the first remote event, and certainly the first kind of security competition, at least on my calendar, which is the source of truth for all calendars.
Do we get to attack AWS accounts? I'm asking for a friend.
I don't know.
Do they have AWS accounts?
My
My knowledge is very limited recently.
So I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The scenario this year is red team are ninjas.
Sorry.
Red team are ninjas and the blue team are samurai, and we're trying to win the favor of the daimyo, who's the boss. I think that's how you pronounce it. That's not how you pronounce it, probably. But I'm super excited for ninjas versus samurai. I would have been equally excited for ninjas versus pirates, but I will take either.
Oh man,
so
awesome.
Should be fun. They have the scenario. They've got the King of the Hill. They've got the CTF. They've got the sort of just general like red, purple, blue.
Mm-hmm.
So I am impressed. As with all things, I don't think you can ever have the sort of. I think this year will be very good, but I don't think you have this year without last year, and without 5 years ago, without 10 years ago, where every year for the most part, ISTS at least moved the needle a little bit. And it was the same.
Like ISTS has been like exponential growth. Like at a certain point, it just like took off.
It really has, and that's kind of when I was talking to Brian when they won CCDC Nationals the year after us. They credit a lot of the work we did because we put so much work into securing services and documentation and transferred as much of that knowledge as we could to them. So they had like this massive head start going into CCDC prep for whatever year that was. I won't date myself. I don't remember. I don't even remember anymore. But I think that's what ISTS is they took sort of the core of what we did and they're like, oh, we can add a CTF on top of it. Oh, we can add a King of the Hill on top of it.
Every generation built on the last one.
And especially with all of this open source tooling coming out with the Facebook CTF, which like, because otherwise you had to build your own CTF framework, which sucks and no one does it well, or you find this garbage one. Oh yeah, or you rebuild the scoring engine for the ninth time, or you find a garbage like Perl freaking CTF platform on GitHub that hasn't been updated in 9 years, and you pray. And so you have these like really well-maintained open source projects that now you don't have to spend all your resources building for a competition, and you can focus on other stuff, making things better, getting more sponsors, finding more competitors, figuring out. I think they did a tour thing last year, or maybe the year before. They had like nodes were only available via Tor, which is super novel. I don't think it got hit very much, unfortunately, but like super novel and cool. But you don't get that. You don't get to focus on that until you get the basics down. And you don't get the basics down until there's like some open source community support to like help with that, whether it's Ansible to deploy shit or the OpenCTF stuff. Also, I think I saw Kingly. Thank you for the follow. A couple other people who followed, so thank you so much. Every X years the scoring engine gets rebuilt. True. Prophet had to read some Perl yesterday. I'm actually surprised. I ran into Perl the other day, which was weird. In
Perl is the last generation's Python. Dude. Like someone's gonna be reading our shitty Python 2.7.
If I had to see at Chomp one more time,
told me recently, I don't think you're old enough to know Perl.
Did you tell them to shut their mouth? We had to have an entire class on it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even remember how the conversation came up. We were talking about scripting languages we knew, and I was like, oh, and yeah, there was a time when I had to use Perl, and they're like, you're not old enough to know Perl. It's like,
let me tell you, Perl was the premier programming language
of RIT scripting.
Puppies said it correctly. It was the network automation language, because I think you just crapped out like Cisco commands in like an expect prompt, which was the worst.
Oh, expect. Yeah, that's
right. And now you actually have like, I know Arista has APIs they support, so you actually have the ability to automate things, and with all the Ansible plugins, and you've got shout out Jeremy Stretch, who I worked with at DigitalOcean for a while. He made Netbox, which is a whole like network infrastructure. It's an IPAM, But now you can put your source of truth in an IPAM and have automation off of that, as opposed to
Jeez.
Perl and CSV and Pray. The world we're in now in 2021, I almost said 2020, in 2021, in terms of like the tools and functionality available for not only us professionally, but for students to be able to tinker on stuff is like night and day. We didn't have Docker when I was in college. So if you wanted to test something,
AWS was barely a thing.
You installed it, you installed all the dependencies, you were in like CPAM install termline
CPAM
crying to yourself, and then you prayed that all the dependencies lined up, and now you can just be like Docker run GitLab, and you don't have to mess with Rails. So
and it's all done.
When I graduated, I had a free NAS box, and I was like, cool, all my services are on my free NAS box. I got all my jails. I'm super secure. And then whenever I went to like make a new thing, GitLab, for example, a good example, I was like, okay, what is GitLab? I really didn't know. And then you look and you're like, oh, it's a Rails app. And you're like, how do I install Rails on FreeBSD? and then you do, and it works fine for a while. And then it doesn't, or it crashes. And I don't know Ruby very well. I don't know Rails well enough. And you're like, what's this error? And you're just Googling frantically for this error. And you spend so much time like trying to debug something insane because you're not supposed to run Rails on FreeBSD. And you instead you could just be like Docker run. I'll shout out Linux server, the org, because they do a lot of really awesome Docker containers. You're like Docker run Linux server /GitLab, and it just works. And you're good. I love it.
Yeah, it's good.
And so I've been working with Packer a lot recently, and I'll get on my soapbox here for a moment, as if I haven't been on a soapbox this entire time. And I just like I don't really like Packer, because when you rebuild an AMI, you rebuild the entire thing, versus like a Docker container, since everything's in layers, you only rebuild from what you change on, which is like, I've got Packer builds that take like 20 minutes and it sucks. And if I'd like do a Docker build for a new thing, it takes like 30 seconds if I have things cached
somebody else
properly.
built it. Yeah, it's someone else's layer.
No, or I built it once and then I cached my like from Ubuntu base, install all my packages, copy my code over, do these things. Oh, the only thing I changed was like an entry point. Okay, like cached. Okay, new entry point, you're good to go. I understand the HashiCorp ecosystem. I know a lot of people live and die by it. Like, I dislike it. I think there's so much overhead. And I was talking to Zach the other day, and you just abstract things so far away. I don't know where anything is anymore. I don't know what anything is anymore.
I love it. That's what we should do. I mean, like, I don't know. That seems like the right direction. Serverless is the future.
I mean, that's like the infrastructure as a service versus the application as a service. Like,
there is.
I mean, okay, less room for user-driven fuck up.
Yeah.
Much more catastrophic. Like, there's a vulnerability in the base image becomes much more detrimental. But
the Python suit, or the Python not the suitable, the Python RCE, the buffer overflow affects the Alpine image. So you have to update all of your base images. So Docker ecosystem.
You don't just pull from latest, dude. Mine will do it by itself. No problem.
Yeah, so you'll pull from latest.
Don't do latest, by the way.
But Alpine has to be latest. So even though you're pulling from your latest, if Alpine hasn't pushed an update to the underlying thing, Python is still vulnerable.
Yep.
And we go full circle back to our dependency. Our dependency issue here. So yeah, cool. So I don't have too much else.
Any more topics?
I guess we'll plug SPARSA again. So if you are watching on Twitch, don't forget to follow in the corner. I think maybe this corner. We'll try both corners just in case. Drop a follow there. Thank you everyone who tuned in. For folks watching on YouTube, if you've made it through this hour and 20-minute tirade, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. And if you are not watching on YouTube, please go over there and drop a like and subscribe, because we need enough subscribers so we can get a custom vanity URL, please.
We're trying so hard. We're trying our hardest.
Yeah, seriously, thank you everyone for tuning in and hanging out with us. We
Appreciate it.
will be back. Let me pull up sparsa.org. We will be back next month, March 19th at 6 Eastern. Tentatively, I think we might try to change the time to make it a little more accessible.
That might get.
But we will be back exactly 1 month from today. So unless you gentlemen have anything else to close out with,
I don't think so.
No,
then
that's it.
we will thank everyone one more time for tuning in, and then we will see you all next time.